have crossed the southern border. To date, last year, that is 3.6% decrease in crossings. The Big Bend sector in West Texas has seen a similar decrease. First Alert 7's Tyler Poglich took a trip to the border to talk with the Terrell County Sheriff Thaddeus Cleveland and Brewster County Sheriff Ronnie Dodson about the decrease. We want to let our viewers know that some of the images and videos you may see in this story could be disturbing.
It's not something that's going to stop ever. I don't think it'll ever stop. But I do think that the more manpower we have, the better. And I still think it's the government's responsibility.
This year, the Big Bend region has seen 4,571 undocumented immigrants enter the country illegally. That is a 59.4% decrease in crossings for the Big Bend region from this time last year. Despite the steep drop in crossings, problems persist. Deaths, break-ins, staffing, money, and technology. Border communities still need help making sure their own communities and neighboring communities stay safe.
We rely on each other, partnerships, whether it's to help do the job or help with an investigation. It's a partnership, and more than that, it's a friendship.
Over the last 3 years, Terrell County has seen 42 deaths from migrants crossing the border. In the past year alone, Brewster County has had 6 border crossing deaths.
Regardless if they're legal, illegal, a good guy or bad guy, that's still someone's loved one, someone's child, brother, sister, whatever the case may be. So that's something that's has really taken hold of us.
The Big Bend sector has some of the most diverse terrain of anywhere along the U.S.-Mexico border. Sometimes that means people cross the border illegally and without help in the mountains. Deaths can go years without discovery.
It's definitely a problem with the numbers that are coming, because now we're seeing more deaths, and we may not find them for several years, and we just find their bones.
The terrain that makes it hard to cross in the Big Bend sector also makes it hard to patrol.
There's not a need for a border wall out here. We have God-made barriers with the Rio Grande River and the canyon walls that surround it. So the most important thing, again, is manpower and technology.
Those that make it across the rugged terrain are looking for shelter. Earlier this year, a West Texas rancher was away from his house when an undocumented migrant broke into his home and was caught on camera. While many people that cross illegally are picked up near the border and sent away to get their immigration status sorted, some make it past border counties.
So the immediate impact that we've seen here in the border region of West Texas, the Permian Basin, has been that oil field theft activity that we've seen. The stealing of equipment, the stealing of gas and oil.
But despite Sheriff Cleveland and Sheriff Dodson seeing an increase in undocumented migrants coming into their counties, it's programs like Operation Lone Star that are allowing both Sheriff Cleveland and Sheriff Dodson to be the front lines, not just for the state of Texas, but the entire nation.
Grant funding, right around $4 million that we've received over the last 3.5 years from the governor's office to buy us, whether it's vehicles, equipment, pay for additional deputies, salaries, and overtime.
Brewster and Terrell County received similar resources from Operation Lone Star. However, in Brewster County, which shares 192 miles of its county line with Mexico, the most of any county in Texas, additional technology is needed to track what can't be seen from the road.
But the cameras send us right away pictures of who it is or what it is. Were ground sensors that we were using. We'd drive 100 miles an hour out to the sensor and it'd be a cow walking on it, or it would be something. These actually give us pictures of,
However, Operation Lone Star is a state government initiative, not federal.
The governor's resources are allowing you to find more people crossing the border, or is it really a weaker administration causing you to find more people?
That's a great question. And I wouldn't say that it's a weaker policy by this administration. There's absolutely no border policy. The borders have literally been wide open. That's not an exaggeration. The numbers prove it. But the governor's resources allow us to get out there and do our job. We would still get out there and do them, and we'd probably make just as many arrests or apprehensions. But again, it gives us additional resources such as vehicles and other tools to do our job.
Federal policy could be changing soon. Vice President Kamala Harris has reiterated that the U.S. immigration system is broken and requires a legislative fix. Harris has also said she is working to establish policies in a, quote, safe, humane, and orderly way. Republican nominee Donald Trump says he plans to carry out the, quote, largest domestic deportation operation in American history and has also said he plans to continue on building a border wall as part of his policy. Reporting at the southern border, for First Alert 7 News, I'm Tyler Poglich.
Odessa police need your help looking for the suspect in this video you're about to see. You can see them vandalizing several businesses. OPD says racist and derogatory words were spray painted at DD's Discounts, Ross Dress for Less, Target, HEB, Rock and Q Smokehouse, and Michael's. If you recognize this person, you are urged to contact the Odessa Crime Stoppers. The Lee Legacy Wall of Honor gained 4 new members as the Wall of Honor recognizes former students, faculty, and staff who have made significant contributions to the school. Inductees are chosen by a committee to be considered for the Wall of Honor. Candidates must be an LHS graduate or staff member worthy of emulation by current students and made a significant contribution to society or substantial professional accomplishment and must wait 15 years after graduation to be eligible. 4 inductees this year were Paula Edwards, Judge Marvin Moore, Dr. Karen Jane Scott, and Texas State Senator Kevin Sparks.
It is in many ways overwhelming.
And you just do your job and you don't really think about it in terms of what accolades you can get, so it really comes as a big shock when somebody lets you know.
I'm very humbled and honored to be an inductee here. I never thought that something like this would happen.
Being honored here today, being back in Lee High School is really a little nostalgic.
The 4 2024 inductees now raise the full count on the Wall of Honor to 39. Time now to take a look at your weather forecast. Get ready for a hot weekend. Plenty of sunshine out there, but it won't last long. Let's get your full forecast from Chief Meteorologist Tom Teefer-Teller. Tom?
Well, another beautiful day across West Texas today, and we didn't see too much in the way of cloud cover out there, as a few clouds across the South Plains was really about it earlier today, and that's really going to be the trend into the weekend. As we saw high temperatures today into the lower 90s to mid 90s. The hottest was out here towards Pecos, Monahans, Saragossa, and also down along the Rio Grande, where temperatures eclipsed 100 degrees over towards Rio Grande Village. Now, as we take a look at hourly temperatures tonight, because we're seeing low humidity levels, we see some wide variances in temperatures and see those drop down into the mid to lower 60s overnight tonight. So we are going to be looking at some nicer conditions this weekend. If you got plans outdoors, just allow yourself a little extra time to deal with the heat. But other than that, looking great. Cooler weather is on the way as we move in towards next week with another front, and we'll talk more about that coming up here in just a few minutes.
Schools across the Permian Basin celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month today. The Ben Milam International Academy students dressed in traditional clothing from Spanish-speaking countries around the world. They also got to be in a flag parade and watched a ballet folklorico presentation, but perhaps most exciting for the students, the food.
They just love going around, talking to the adults and enjoying food. It can be a tamale or it can be something from, another Hispanic country.
Ben Milam is a dual language academy, meaning one of its goals is for students to become fluent in English and Spanish. In Odessa, students were celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month with a lunch and reading stories. 120 students from Odessa High, Permian, and New Tech Odessa read books to second graders. Hispanic Heritage of Odessa has held events like these for the past 2 decades. This weekend, history is coming to life in far West Texas. At Fort Davis all this month, park rangers have been working to make sure that Fort Davis looks like it did in the 1800s, with lanterns, costumes, and more.
You can see it, you can smell it, you can touch it, right? And that's what the great thing about here at Fort Davis is it's still here.
The 1-hour guided lantern tours happening this weekend sold out, but the historic fort is open to the public most days of the week. We've had some weekend plans for you. The 35th annual Texas Size Garage Sale is open tomorrow. The 4-day event raises money for Senior Life Midland's Meals on Wheels program. The 25,000 square foot warehouse on Scarborough Drive is packed with antiques, clothing, sporting goods, and more. The warehouse is open from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Saturday and then 3 more days next week. Tomorrow, the Permian Basin Hog Chapter and Legacy Harley-Davidson of Odessa hosting a porker run with proceeds going to benefit the Lone Star Sanctuary for Animals. Riders will leave from Legacy Harley-Davidson at 10 in the morning, stop in Midland, Lenora, and Big Spring before returning back to Legacy.
We're having a benefit for Lone Star Sanctuary for Animals tomorrow. We'd like for all y'all to come out. Our registration starts at 10 o'clock. The last bike will be in here probably about 3:30. Riders are $20, passengers are $10.
Riders will receive stamps at each stop to turn in for playing cards once back at Legacy. The 5 participants with the best hand will win cash prizes, though you must be 18 or older to win. The month of October is officially the start of Halloween season, but it's also the Texas Archaeology Month. The Bush Family Home Historic Site will be having an event tomorrow combining Halloween and Texas archaeology. At the spooky presidential archaeology event, people will be able to learn the stories of past presidents and what it means to be president. Kids will also be able to learn how the nation and presidents got started and learn spooky stories of presidential sites.
It is important to understand archaeological concepts, archaeological procedures, and also to understand how the presidents lived through each time period. That kind of shows the change that they might have been impacting throughout history.
There will also be arts and crafts to create haunted photographs. The event is tomorrow from 1 to 2 p.m. and it is free to the public. If you miss out, you can join virtually on the Bush Family Home Historic Site Facebook Live or register on Zoom on October 24th from 6 to 7 p.m. The Parks Legato Farmers Market is getting in the fall spirit with a pumpkin patch tomorrow morning. There will be pumpkin picking, live music, and over 100 vendors, and it's a fundraiser to benefit the Children's Miracle Network at Medical Center Hospital. That's happening tomorrow morning from 8 in the morning until noon. Pink at the Park is also this weekend. It's the 4th time the breast cancer awareness event has been held in West Texas. Survivors of the disease will be speaking. There will also be vendors and food trucks as well, plus a raffle and runway show for those that attend. That's all happening in Centennial Park in Midland from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. Love Midland, a community-driven initiative, is holding a kickoff event tomorrow starting at 8 in the morning at Astound Broadband Stadium in Midland. The event is the beginning of a day of service throughout the community. There will be speakers, local leaders, and family activities like jump castles, games, crafts, food, and more, and it's all free. Project organizers include 311 Ministries, Buckner Family Services, Midland Fire Department, and many more. Still to come, the Nutcracker is coming to West Texas, and though we are months away from December, preparations have already begun. We'll show you up next. And there are more debates to come. Catch the next one on Monday at 7 o'clock on KWWT My 30. Several candidates for the Odessa City Council will be debating, and it's moderated by our own Mary Kate Hamilton. And also, First Alert 7 is partnering with the West Texas Food Bank to help resupply the Manna Food Bank in Asheville, North Carolina. It was destroyed in Hurricane Helene. You can see a list of things to be donated, and you can drop those off at either of the West Texas Food Bank locations or here at the First Alert 7 studios in Music City Mall. Midland Festival Ballet's Nutcracker performance has become a holiday staple around West Texas, but there's still a lot of work that goes into the iconic performance. Preparations for the Nutcracker began as early as July. Once the ballet is cast, volunteers hand sew the iconic costumes. There are about 120 student ballerinas who are performing in the Nutcracker, all ranging in age from 5 to 18. The young ballerina playing Clara is just as excited to perform with the other dancers as she is to be one of the starring roles.
Dancing with the younger girls is really fun because they're so little and you feel almost kind of like a teacher figure towards them. And dancing with the older girls is nice too because then I feel like you dance up to their level.
In addition to the student dancers, there are also around a dozen adult performers and 7 guest artists. Both Nutcracker shows have sold out for the past 2 years, so for 2024, a third show is being added. Tickets are expected to go on sale later this month.
Well, the summer-like heat's going to hang on this weekend, but changes are on the way, and we'll talk about those coming up next.
Now, from the First Alert 7 Weather Center, here's Chief Meteorologist Tom Tiefertiller.
Well, we are going to see a few changes, but they're going to hold on till after the weekend. In the meantime, though, this ridge of high pressure that's been causing all the heat is going to hang on for at least a couple of more days. We can see that right across central portions of the U.S. But we are noticing the jet stream dropping down a little bit into the northern plains, back into the Pacific Northwest, where we do have a storm system here offshore of the Pacific coast, and that is going to move in across the Pacific Northwest. And as it does, it looks like it's finally going to buckle this jet stream enough to where we're going to see another front into the area, and that's going to get us back closer to more seasonal weather as we move in towards next week. But also, this is showing a little more of a pattern change in our forecast here over the next few days, and looks like that may bring down a stronger front into our forecast coming up late next weekend. So definitely some fall weather is on the horizon, maybe even a couple of showers in the forecast. Today, though, it was quiet out there as we saw, again, cloud-free skies across most of the state. Just a couple of showers across northeast Texas, really about it. You can see that high pressure hanging on across most of the state with temperatures into the 90s. Excuse me, for most areas, seeing those into the lower to mid 90s out there. Across a large part of West Texas, it's a little bit cooler along the Texas Gulf Coast, but overall though, again, dealing with plenty of heat. It's up to 96 up towards the Lubbock area. Now the future cast, well, it's not showing too much happening overnight tonight into the weekend, as we are going to be looking at occasionally a few clouds in the forecast, but nothing too drastic. Looks to be on the way, as we're going to see, again, some southerly winds in the forecast. I think it's going to be great again for everything you want to do outdoors. So your typical West Texas weather for this time of the year is just a little on the hot side, and that will continue to be the case in towards your Sunday. So for the rest of tonight, again, with the low humidity levels, we'll drop back off down into the lower 60s overnight tonight, with the south wind staying up a little bit for the early part of your evening under clear skies. And then for tomorrow, we'll put lots of sunshine in the forecast. Don't be surprised to see a cloud or two, but overall though, temperatures into the mid to upper 90s, especially across the western Permian Basin into the Trans-Pecos, and of course along the Rio Grande too. We're going to be looking at hot temperatures, but hot enough though across the Permian Basin coming up for tomorrow. And your First Alert 7 10-day forecast, a little interesting after the weekend with that front dropping temperatures back closer to where we should be this time of the year, and really a downward trend in temperatures all the way through next week, with a stronger front in the offing the following weekend. So definitely seeing a little bit of a weather pattern change coming up in our forecast.
Up next here at 9, we check in on one of the most highly anticipated high school football games in the Basin. Stay with us. It is rivalry week in West Texas. Permian Panthers taking on the Odessa High Broncos right now at Ratliff Stadium. That score right now 22-20. Permian in the lead in the third quarter. They just came out of the half. We'll, of course, have highlights coming up later. Last year, the Broncos pulled off a 7-point win in overtime. They'll be looking for a repeat, while Permian gets revenge with a win tonight. Of course, we will have your highlights of that game and more coming up at 10:15 right after First Alert 7 News at 10 on the Friday Night Blitz. All right, as we head into the weekend, you can look for some much warmer temperatures, at least for the next couple of days. Here's a look at your iCam over Pecos right now. A beautiful night out there. It is a warm one, though. How does it look for the weekend? Well, temperatures in the 90s, but get ready for next week. Could see some cooler weather on the way, so keep it right here. We will, of course, keep you up to date. We want to thank you for joining us here. We have more news coming up tonight on First Alert 7 News at 10. Stay with us.